I'm Van Lathan, and I'm on a mission to dig into cases that seem to have been neglected or abandoned, and shed light on the stories and the people so they aren't forgotten. Investigating these cases isn't always about the whodunit. It's about understanding why these murders keep happening.
For 50 Cent, why did you feel like you had to make this show?
We're not attempting to solve a crime that's been solved.
I got you. We're asking questions and trying to get answers.
We'll track down never-before-heard eyewitnesses and expose internet rumors.
So everybody was just pointing fingers because nobody had the answers.
First time in my life, guy with blood.
And to get to the one thing that lets people have justice and closure. And that one thing is the truth.
They took a jewel away from us. I want the truth to be ours.
This is Hip Hop Homicides.
First time I wrote a song, I had to be like 8 years old in church. And I sang that in front of everybody, the whole congregation.
Breaking news, a homicide investigation underway in the Hollywood Hills. An up-and-coming rapper, Pop Smoke, has been shot and killed.
Killed in a Hollywood Hills home invasion.
Was shot inside a rental home in the Hollywood Hills.
The rapper, who has collaborated with Nicki Minaj and Travis Scott, was visiting the LA home when he was attacked.
Was this a robbery gone wrong, or
did somebody want Pop Smoke dead that night? So I'm here in New York, investigating the death of
Bashar Jackson, aka Pop Smoke.
Pop Smoke was one of hip-hop's brightest and most promising young stars.
Only a year and a half from the first time the Canarsie Brooklyn native stepped in the booth, he already had a top 10 record.
I ain't a rapper, I'm a hustler.
But less than 2 weeks after topping the charts, he was dead. The outpouring of emotion upon his death was massive. Weeks later, when George Floyd's murder at the hands of police set off waves of protests across the country and around the world, Pop's Dior became an anthem, blasting in streets from coast to coast. Pop Smoke's murder left a hole in our culture that won't easily be filled.
So today I'm going to talk to 50 Cent. In addition to being one of the producers on this show, he's also somebody that's two things, a survivor and a builder. He was a survivor of some of the violence that we're talking about right now, and he also takes an active part in building the careers of so many people around him. And one of those careers that he took an active part in building was Pop Smoke.
Pop considered 50 his mentor and his friend.
So not only does 50 have intimate knowledge about who Pop Smoke was, but he also knows what happens when the game takes a shot at you and you survive. Do you feel like we would be doing this show right now if Pop Smoke hadn't got killed?
Probably not. He's a big part of why I'm participating in it.
When'd you first meet him?
He came to me. Came to the office to meet me in person. And he's a smart guy. Like, while I'm watching him, I thought he was around because he was on the phone the whole time I was talking to him. And then I get up and I walk around the desk. And I look and he's typing what I'm saying.
Oh, so he can remember it.
Right. And I'm like, now I really like it.
Right.
When I meet 50, I just listen. Can't really talk when 50 talking, just let him talk.
Do you feel like hip-hop is actually getting more violent?
I think it's the same energy, but in a different period, so it looks different. It's gonna happen where everyone can take a look on camera.
See it.
When Nipsey gets killed, for the first time they saw him get killed. Because of social media, everyone's involved now.
Right.
Because those kids in Middle America,
They're going up off that energy.
are clicking the button to look.
Yeah.
And are fascinated with these kids because they're living on a side so wild compared to the conservative lifestyle that they have.
We're on our way right now to talk to Audrey Jackson, that's Pop Smoke's mother, to get a sense of who he was as a man that's beyond the hip-hop glitz and fame. Ms. Jackson, how are you feeling since the news of Pop's death?
I am okay right now. You know, I try not to cry. I try not to kind of fully feel it because I don't know if I'm going to be able to come back.
So, Part of my mission with this show is to make sure that we memorialize and humanize these brothers that have passed on. How would you want people to remember the human being that was your son?
Wow. Charming. A flirt. Determined. Very caring. You know, he to take care of people.
I'ma give like a message to my young, I mean, like us coming where we come from, we can't afford to. We got all odds against us.
When people were at their lowest point, his music, his words got them through.
Do you remember the last time that you spoke to Pop?
Yeah. Before he left, we had great conversations. He told me that he really appreciated that I held on to him, that I never let go. But I think the thing that kind of haunts me the most is he's getting ready to leave. So I said, "You leaving?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "You're not going to say goodbye?" And he hesitated. And I was like, that's just Shar being Shar, because he's just kind of being mannish. But I think he knew something was wrong. And then he went out the door. He didn't say goodbye.
What feelings were invoked when you heard about Pop's passing away?
I felt immediately, I'm like, I was in shock because I'm like, he dead, like died. You start exploring things in thought, and this is natural for you to go, what happened?
Sure.
Some of it doesn't make sense to me.
You're telling me that there were unanswered questions about Pop Smoke's death on 50 Cent's mind?
Absolutely.
In the early morning hours of February 19th, 2020, 4 suspects were caught on surveillance breaking into a Hollywood Hills Airbnb where Pop Smoke was staying as a getaway car waited outside. Pop was in Los Angeles from his home in Brooklyn to shoot a music video. The suspects scaled a fence and entered the house through the second-floor balcony of the master bedroom. Inside the home, they subdued a woman in the bedroom and then stormed into a bathroom occupied by Pop Smoke. Moments later, shots rang out and the rapper was pronounced dead at 4:30 a.m. 4 suspects were arrested and charged, but over 2 years have passed and the case has yet to be tried, leaving fans and internet sleuths with a lot of questions.
There was other people in the house, but Pop Smoke was the only one shot.
This was personal.
Hearing the voice of the streets, I'm wondering the same questions. 1, was this a robbery gone wrong? Or 2, did someone want Pop Smoke dead, and was this a targeted hit?
People came in through a door on the second floor.
Right to the balcony.
Now, I'm familiar with a lot of people who've done a lot of things, and I've done some things myself, right?
Okay.
When you go home invasion, they'll knock on the door and have a uniform on for you to open the door and push the door. You're on your way out, they're on their way in, but they'll wait for the opportunity to go, right? And what would you do when you get to the second floor when the door's locked?
You're scrambling.
You're stuck on the second floor.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me that you would assume that.
Right.
So after talking to 50, the central question is going to be whether or not this was a coordinated hit or whether or not this was a robbery gone wrong. Looking at the video from this night, it's disturbing, it's sad. But when you look at this, there's so many questions. And there's a woman here that is wrapped up in a blanket. She's not interacting with anyone that's going in or out of the house. Police released info that there was a witness in the house that night. Question is that her? Priority number 1, finding out who exactly that is and seeing if maybe we can get her to open up to us a little bit. I'm on my way to meet with Jimmy Graham, ex-NYPD turned private investigator. Jimmy is our inside man in law enforcement. Since the case is still awaiting trial in Los Angeles, I want him to use his contacts to give us some insight on where things stand right now.
So in terms of the suspects, give me a rundown of exactly who these guys are.
So there's 4 suspects. 2 of them are juveniles. You have Corey Walker and Keandre Rogers are the suspects that are in custody right now. The juveniles, we don't know their names because it's, confidential. Because they're juveniles, they don't release that.
According to the LA Times, an LAPD detective testified in a 2021 court proceeding that the suspects were caught when one of the juveniles admitted to firing a gun to his cellmate at a detention center on a hidden recording. Weeks later, Corey Walker also allegedly divulged his role in a separate jailhouse secret recording. Because juvenile proceedings are confidential, it is unclear how the juveniles have pleaded, but we know that 2 of the accused are pleading not guilty. Walker claims he was just waiting outside the house that night and that he told the juveniles not to use the guns.
What does this look like happened to you?
This looks like, in my opinion, after going through all the theories that are out there, due to Pop Smoke blasting everything on social media and his address being out there, a couple of kids decided that they were going to go in that house and rob him. Unfortunately, it led to an altercation which occurred upstairs. Unfortunately, he was shot and, which led to his demise.
Do you think that there was somebody on the inside that let them know exactly where he was going to be, how to get in and how to get out?
That's very possible. So I'm working on something now. I have a source of mine telling me that there's actually a tape with a witness who was in the house, supposedly in the room where Pop Smoke was killed at the time.
What do you think of people speculating that Mike D might have had something to do with it?
Having had this happen to me, anything is possible.
People think what they want to think, I mean. I'm not living for nobody else.
Everybody had a mask. They open. I don't know who opened the balcony. It was open. It was open.
Did somebody want Pop Smoke dead that night?
We're investigating the murder of Pop Smoke. While 4 suspects have been arrested and are awaiting trial, we're trying to find out if it was a robbery gone wrong or if someone wanted Pop Smoke dead and he was set up. While our PI is trying to track down a video of a witness who was supposedly in the room with Pop that night, I'm following a different lead. The police released a statement saying Pop's murder could have been gang-related, and both the internet and the press ran with that theory. So I'm headed to Compton to meet with Glasses Malone, a well-respected LA street figure who's well-connected and has his eyes and ears on the ground. Maybe he'll have some insight as to what happened to Pop that night. How do you know that Pop Smoke had some Crip affiliations back in Canarsie?
First song I heard and the first video I saw, they was wearing blue rags.
Blue flag, I'm crippin'. Did you hear anything about Pop coming into town?
No. He didn't check in because I network with a lot of people throughout all of the communities, and I didn't hear anybody who says, at that point that was their guy.
Explain to people what the protocols are if you're gonna go to somebody else's hood, be in somebody else's city.
Like most times, if somebody from out of town come in town, they'd call me and be like, yo, I'm around the way.
Yeah.
So I'm telling my peoples, you're around town.
Right.
Real checking in is alerting your alliances and all of the people you solid with, just in case something goes wrong, somebody had your back.
But if Pop Smoke had been a little bit more veteran in the game, maybe had checked in with someone while he was out here, what are the chances that something like that would have happened?
Probably drastically reduced, 80%.
Street culture and drill music seem to be inseparable. To get a fuller picture of Pop Smoke, we need to understand his music.
Hip-hop culture, street culture, they're hand in hand. It's all, they're writing about the street now.
So we've linked up with Vok and Fabio Foreign, 2 key figures in Brooklyn drill, a controversial genre of hip-hop synonymous with violence that Pop Smoke lifted to the top of the charts.
I feel like I'm talking to the man right now in terms of understanding Brooklyn drill. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about what Brooklyn drill is.
You put Chicago drill, UK producers, reggae, and the boom bap era of hip hop, put that all in the pot, you got Brooklyn drill.
heard them hard ass 808s and like the weird like snares. And I'm like, yeah, something about this is crazy.
So we are here talking to the hottest rapper in New York right now. Let's talk about Pop Smoke real quick. What did he mean to New York drill?
He was one of the first people that showed the world that the drill rap wasn't all kill him. You know what I'm saying? He got love songs on it.
When you heard about his passing, what was your initial thoughts and feelings?
I was with him like the night before that in New York. I'm saying I hit so close. That was like one of the first like deaths, like since my mom's died, that I really kind of like felt like, yo, damn.
Chicago drill in particular was associated with a lot of violence and the gang politics. Would you say that that's what's in Brooklyn drill's DNA as well? Is it safe to be a Brooklyn drill artist?
Yes and no, because boom. It's kids who do drill that have no street ties at all. But then you're kids who are actually in the gang culture, yeah, it's definitely not safe. Because at the end of the day, these guys are rappers. They're #1 targets. That, like the Pop Smoke situation showed us that no matter what you do, no matter how much you remove yourself from, people are still gonna try you.
Word.
As I'm planning my next step in the investigation, I get a call from ex-NYPD officer Jimmy Grant with some news I've been waiting for.
Yo, yo.
Hey, man, what up? It's Jimmy.
What's going on, man?
I did an extensive social media check, and I got this tape. I'm going to forward it to your phone now. As soon as you get it, give it a look, and then give me a call back.
All right, man.
He found the video of the witness film the day after Pop's murder.
I had such a panic, you know. They open, I don't know who opened the balcony. It was open, open. First time in my life, guy with the blood, like pop. I was really like him. I'm in shock. I still didn't sleep from yesterday because I closed my eyes and I'm still in shock. They didn't kill me, like. My just start to scream, why they don't kill me?
The name she mentions, Mike. That's Mike D, Pop's best friend from childhood, who traveled to LA with him and also was there in the house that night. I wonder what his mindset was. Why was he yelling at her?
How much of the crew does she even know? How long has she been with them? It makes me want to ask more questions.
What do you got?
So there was a lot there, but it also raises a lot of questions.
Just what I found interesting was that she immediately raises the question of who left the balcony open.
Exactly. To me, what jumped out watching that video is she seems to be as shocked as anyone that they were able to gain entry to this residence as easy as they were. It almost feels as if she feels like she was ambushed along with Pop Smoke. Did somebody want Pop Smoke dead that night?
As details about Pop's murder made their way to public, something strange started happening on the internet. Some people started focusing their suspicions on Mike D and blaming him for Pop's death. Mike D publicly denied these claims on his Instagram. I need to find out more about why the internet was focusing on Mike D.
Hello?
Nikki.
What's going on?
I'm finding myself trying to get to the bottom of exactly what was the internet uproar surrounding Mike D.
People knew that Pop Smoke and Mike D were the best of friends. Where one was, the other was right next to him. People found it kind of odd that Mike had made some social media posts flashing stacks of cash, and at one point he actually sent out a photo on Instagram that had the address they were staying at.
Wow.
Now I know who we need to talk to next.
I think for me, it's important to not put him on trial because you're talking about someone who's lost a friend. I'm looking for questions answered about how he and others reacted in the aftermath. I just like to know how things went that night from his purview. What does he feel like happened?
You know, hopefully we'll talk to 50 and we'll work this all out. So here's the deal. Mike D showed up. He doesn't want to do the interview.
Why?
They want to talk to 50 before they will go on camera. We tried to get 50 on the phone. He's on an airplane. I don't know what happened, but it was pretty clear that they were going to do this interview today, and now they don't want to do it.
We were able to track down Amelia Rose, the girl from the video with Pop Smoke.
Wow. We're at 50 Cent's office. 50's in, talking with Mike D, trying to convince him to come on camera. Want to see if he has his story straight and see if there's any actual reason for suspicion towards him.
I'm investigating the murder of Pop Smoke, and I just got a call from our researcher, Nikki. Now, Nikki's been trying to get in touch with the witness who was in the room with Pop the night he was killed.
Nikki, what's going on?
We were able to track down Amelia Rose, the girl from the video with Pop Smoke.
Wow.
It's been a little bit of a struggle. She's a little afraid. Obviously, this girl's been through a lot. You know, she said she hasn't talked about this for 2 years because she's afraid they're going to come after her.
Right.
But there's a couple of things like I wanted to tell you before we go into this. She's been posting a lot of stuff about Mike D and his involvement. She's basically saying, Mike, you know what you did.
So she seems to be pointing a finger directly at Mike.
Yes.
That is absolutely shocking. That's something we definitely have to talk to him about. We definitely need to do our best to try to get in touch with her. We need to figure out what she knows, and we need to figure out if what she's saying has any merit beyond rumor and innuendo.
I will do my best, Dan. I'll keep you posted along the way.
Thank you so much, Nikki. While Nikki works on pinning down the witness, and with Mike D refusing to talk to us, we're going to pursue another theory, that the murder was actually a robbery gone wrong. So over the last decade, it's become much more common here in LA for organized crews to actually monitor the social media of celebrities and target them for burglaries and home invasions when they're not home.
Kim Kardashian was robbed at gunpoint. People pointed to her social media accounts where she puts all of her jewelry on display.
Mark Ebner is a true crime author and a journalist. So he's made his career covering the intersection of celebrity and crime culture. I'm going to meet him in the Hollywood Hills, very near the scene of the crime, to get his expertise on the subject. The question that most people want to know about Pop Smoke's death has to do with the why. Was this a coordinated hit, or was this a robbery gone wrong?
I think it was orchestrated to the effect that it was planned, right. The robbery itself. But I don't think any of these young perpetrators went into this situation thinking that someone was going to get dead, least of all their victim, right. Pop Smoke. There's been some talk about a couple of these guys being tipped up with the knock-knock crew.
What is that? What is the knock-knock crew?
Hey, knock-knock, we're at a wealthy person's home. They open the door, okay, hands behind your back, zip-tied on the ground, and where's the safe? LA is just ripe for this.
Pop's situation is really unique because people was able to get information on him based off what they saw on the internet.
Okay, as far as what happened the night that Pop got killed, what do you think happened?
I think it's a robbery gone bad. I don't think it would be a hit. The situation was real simple. Flocking is a huge thing right now.
Tell people what flocking is.
So flocking is the new word for burglary. People are going to these houses and they looking for valuable goods, and it just went bad.
What would the rules be for a celebrity that didn't want to end up looking down the barrel of a gun?
I know Pop Smoke had his homeboy with him, Mike D, but that's not protection.
Right.
He needed executive protection and babysitting to the extent that they'll take your phones away from you if you're checking in on social media.
So where we're at right now, we're at 50 Cent's office, and 50's in talking with Mike D and some of his other homies, trying to convince them to come on camera and give us an interview. And of course, he was there. He was in LA, staying at the same place around the time that all of this happened. So for us, it's very, very important that we sit down and we talk to him. Obviously, there's some trepidation. That trepidation being that, you know, Mike D's already been beat up on the internet a lot. But hopefully, 50 talking to him and letting him know that what we're trying to get to here is actually the truth. The situation will be enough to get him to come down and sit down with us. How close were you, Pop's friends, like Mike D and the guys from his
Mikey
crew?
grew up with us. He was, you know, he was family.
What do you think of people speculating and some people making almost direct implications that he might have had something to do with it?
That'd be sad.
In your gut, could you see that being the case?
Having had this happen to me, anything is possible.
Appreciate you guys sitting down and talking to us. Anybody that's grown up in a certain area or in a certain environment, I'm from South Baton Rouge, Louisiana. You know, we all got to deal with moving on from losing homies and stuff like that. It's never easy. You always think about them, you always remember them. But we don't have to share that with the entire world. You know, y'all lost a friend. What has it been like since?
Heartbreaking. It's tough, you know? It don't even feel real, to be honest.
Or Mike?
For me, obviously, you know, it's hard to cope with every day, but and I just, you know, pray, stay around my loved ones, you know what I mean? That's how I cope with it.
Yeah. The way that you were treated on social media, you know, the ways that people came at it and the ways some people carried it. Is there anything that you heard or anything that's out there that just you want to make sure people know isn't true? Mike?
You know, I stay off of like all that social media stuff. You know, I block out all that. Pop know me, he know who I was to him. So I honestly don't care about anybody else's opinion, you know what I mean? What they want to think, you know what I mean? I'm not living for nobody else.
I was saying like, oh, I was touching his purse and I didn't feel nothing. I think like this was planning before, somebody to give them all information.
My firstborn and Pop is the same age.
A lot of guys wouldn't have been so keen on talking to a kid
that sounds
like him, but you did not have that energy with him.
No, I liked it, because it's not a copy.
Right.
You know, like, you know his last name is Jackson?
Yeah.
Who's his mother? I know his mother.
We've had a chance to talk to Pop Smoke's longtime friend, Mike D.
People think what they want to think, you know what I mean?
But there's still some questions that remain. However, I got some good news this morning. Our team was finally able to connect with Amelia Rose, the only person in the room at the time of Pop's murder, aside from the assailants. She agreed to speak with us today in her first TV interview since Pop's murder.
Hello, Amelia. First of all, we know this has been difficult, so we really do appreciate you speaking with us. Let's start at the beginning. When did you first meet Pop Smoke?
Okay, I will start talk slowly in Russian, and my friend will translate. В декабре меня позвал друг на фестиваль Rolling Cloud 15 декабря.
To the festival Rolling Cloud in December, and I decided to go.
Я была на бэкстейдже на фестивале, и меня схватил за руку парень, которого я не знала. Он сказал, не хотела бы я с ним познакомиться. So, okay. So, I was in the studio, he recording some music. I remember how Pop was looking at me, and I was thinking about, oh my God, he's so beautiful. And I was on my way to my Uber, and he opens his window, and he said, do you want to go with me? And I'm like, wow, I like this Uber. I want to have a good night. I was in his car. I remember how when he was driving, it was like fly. And I thinking about like, wow, he drives so cool. Mike D, he was behind, and Mike, his face was nervous, and he was messaging somebody nonstop.
Can you take me through what happened when you guys got back to the house?
Pop said he was going to upstairs. I'm sitting on the bed, and I'm starting to take off my clothes. And he said, okay, I will come back. And he was going to restroom. So this was his last words. And this moment, it was like couple seconds. And I hear the noise. The guy was in the mask, and his gun was like, look at me, you know? His eyes make me so scared. They run to the restroom. Pop screamed, what? And so they take him out. And I hear the noise like, I remember how I closed my eyes. And I was waiting, like I will have this shot in my head. And I said, please God, I hope it will be very fast and not pain. I was waiting this, like I was sure I will be dying. I was opening my eyes, and then everything was so quiet. I was saying like, Pop, I was touching his pulse and I didn't feel nothing. I opened the door and I started to scream like, Mike, they killed him, like, please call 911. And then he said, why, bitch, they didn't kill you? I said, me? Why me? And Mike, I was in shock from his reaction. He started screaming like crazy, like, this bitch did, and put finger on me. He was started to be very aggressive, you know, at the moment. He started screaming like crazy, and I was so scared. And first of all, he know, like, Pop invited me. I didn't know address. I didn't do nothing wrong. He know, like, Pop invited me. It was so weird. He's this very, for me, it's so strange, all his reaction.
When it happened, there were people online who blamed you. And you said at the scene, there were people who blamed you. There might be people who say that you're blaming Mike so that people don't blame you. What would you say to those people?
I don't care what people say. True, on my side, I save everything. I don't need to explain everybody.
You think Mike had something to do with what happened to Pop?
I think, about everything, how Mike moved. His reaction was so strange that day. I think like this was planning before, somebody to give them all information.
Amelia certainly has her suspicions about Mike D's involvement. So it looks like we need to head back to Canarsie and give Mike one more chance to tell us his side.
Sorry, I'm so nervous.
Amelia Rose provided us with a never-before-heard, first-hand account of what happened the night of Pop's murder.
Mike said, "Why, bitch, they didn't kill you?"
She was clearly traumatized by the event, but she also doubled down on her suspicions toward Mike D. I'm going back to give Mike D one more chance to explain his side of the story and respond to Amelia Rose's accusations.
Something happened to Pop. For some reason, people pointed at you.
Yes.
People then saw that the location was posted, thought, okay, that's how they got to where they got.
Yeah.
But since then, this girl, Amelia Rose, and other people have directly said that they feel like you had something to do with what happened to Pop Smoke. There's an Instagram post. I have it for you in case you want.
Seen it.
You saw the Instagram post.
I seen it.
She didn't see how someone could have gotten to the room where Pop was unless there was somebody on the inside that helped him out. And she basically said that it was you.
Listen, like I said, people gonna say what they wanna say, people gonna think what they wanna think. I know me, and if you know me, and anybody knows me, they know Pop is my dogs, my heart, so.
And this girl, Amelia Rose, ever want to pick up the phone and tell her what's on your mind or shoot back at her at the comments?
I don't know that person, so no, I don't.
Is there anything that you wish you would have done differently that night?
Wish I wasn't sleeping. What was it?
How you been dealing with it?
Same, I don't sleep, I don't eat. I cry a lot, drink a lot.
What up? Appreciate you talking to me, bro. I understand it must be hard, my man.
Mm-hmm.
Having spoken to Mike D, I 100% believe Mike. There's no motive. I think it's profoundly unfair for people to have involved him or implicated him in the death of Pop Smoke in any way. He posted a photo on social media that revealed the address of the house where he and Pop were staying that night. It turns out, Pop did the same thing. Neither was intentional. It was an accident with horrific consequences.
I want to apologize on behalf of New York and half of his fans to Mike D because people crucified the kid, literally. Like, it's probably a kid to this day that like, yo, when I see Mike D, I'm gonna do something to him.
I don't blame him for being cagey about talking to us. He's a victim too. Also spoke to Amelia Rose, the woman that was in the room with Pop Smoke the night that he was killed. She was out for a good time and she got in and over her head, you know? I think the implications of blaming Mike in the way that she did, I think it's unfair. No, she said that Mike D was on his phone the whole night.
And Mike, his face was nervous and he was messaging somebody nonstop.
Mike D is a 20-something-year-old kid. I don't know if you guys have seen a 20-something-year-old kid lately, but they're on their phone the whole time. Regarding the point of entry via the balcony, it doesn't look like it was a setup. A recent LA Times article revealed that there is evidence that the suspects scoped out the rental house on Zillow beforehand and they knew the layout. It's also common in Southern California to leave doors and windows open. I don't think that Mike had anything to do with it. I don't think Amelia Rose had anything to do with it. What I think happened to Pop Smoke was, one, it was the result of the lifestyle of young rappers telling people where they're going to be. Number two, the culture that exists in LA of armed robbery and of young kids making their stripes in different organizations by taking down big game. I think the reason why it got violent is because somebody panicked. And I think you have a bunch of young people, kids really, not really understanding the stakes.
Pop Smoke did not come to LA thinking that anyone was trying to kill him. If he had thought that, he'd have moved different. I'm not sure if the kids that went into the house that night thought that they were going to kill him. If they thought that that was going to happen, maybe they would have moved different. His life is gone. Mother buries a son. Friends bury friends. And for what? A complete, total, 100% tragedy. What advice would you give to the next artist that's not from here so that we can see a situation like this not happen?
Stop trying to market wealth to poor people. You won't come around poor people shining. You deserve to be robbed. We want to brag to each other about what we got when you know people are suffering and poor. And then we false label it as inspiration. That is aspirational at best.
If they was trying to rob him and then Pop's instincts, he would fight in a drop of a hat. You can see how that could be a robbery and it turns into a homicide. In real situations, these are babies. I'm remembering not understanding consequences to my actions at 15. So when you tell me the shooter's 15, he don't know. Right.
A 14-year-old kid can walk in, do a crime like this, and not even realize the consequences going in. Those two gunmen are gonna go into juvie till they're about 25 years old, and they're gonna get their masters in crime. It is a cycle, and it just doesn't break. My wrath in this whole thing is on this Corey Walker guy sitting out in the car and sending two kids in with pistols.
As of the airing of this episode, the case is currently waiting to be adjudicated. All 4 of the accused are in jail. Corey Walker has pled not guilty and denied any responsibility for the murder.
How much do you want to see the perpetrators of this crime brought to justice?
It's major for me. After having done this thing, if you can't come back and fix your life, it's a complete loss. If they haven't been changed, my son died for no reason. There's no justice, because that's the kid he did the music for. He said that. That's the kid he sung for. That particular kid, that young boy.
Magnolia Shorty was gunned down.
Are you saying that he got money off her life insurance?
Yes.
The night that Vaughn is killed, do you know what they were into it about?
He just jumped out the car, and from there, boom, boom, boom.
SBG Duck was murdered exactly where I stand.
He was loved, but he was also hated. The streets is hot. We kept him in total hiding.
I hear so much hate